For thousands of years, many civilizations have dominated the earth, hunting for food, pillaging villages, and building empires. But what if all of this was to happen in Ark? Well, this is Ragnarok, and I've split 100 players into 4 biomes of 25 players each. The mainlands, the highlands, the flatlands, and the desert. Each team has their own advantages and disadvantages, meaning they'll be encouraged to set up trade routes and negotiate with other tribes to gain resources. You will be watching 100 players simulate ancient civilizations in Ark Survival Evolved. First up, we go to the mainland's civilization.
Everybody craft yourself a shield.
The mainland civilization was located on the top left of the map. This area was pretty safe due to the low-level dino spawns, but they still did get attacked by a few birds. They managed to soon organise their group and get things like wood, metal, and also build some structures.
Just focus on getting those materials right now. We need metal mainly. We do need metal.
A small group of 3 of the mainland members were challenged with killing a dillo. These guys had spears, so they managed to kill it pretty easily, and they could then get hide from this thing.
Can someone put a few platforms down? I've got a smithy.
The members decided to place their structures underneath this dinosaur to stay safe. Now we go to the Highland civilization in the top right of the map. These members had the task of killing a novice so they could get some meat to survive.
Oh my god.
Huge!
The Highlands group was a little split up, but they managed to meet up in a safe point. They were going to build in this cave.
Should I make everyone like pickaxes right off the bat?
Yeah, metal tools is huge.
Yes, I'm gonna have to need
metal
it.
tools ASAP.
The team was actually really organised, and this cave was amazing. They had loads of space to build inside here, and it would be really good to defend. Some of their players even tamed some dodos. Now we go to the Flatlands civilization. These guys are meant to be on a big grassy plain, however, there's a desert island on their land. So they went on this island and started building to try and confuse some of the other teams if they had an invasion. This team was pretty organised and they already had a small base set up. Even though their progress was going really good, there still were a lot of players out in the open farming for materials, and these 2 got themselves mixed up with a raptor.
Oh, he's on the fucking end. I'm stuck.
Go.
Yo, the water's not safe either. Yeah, I'm dying.
We trapped him.
Alright, nice.
Nice shit. Oh my god, you kidding me?
Bro,
They managed to trap the raptor and end its life. And now we move to our final and last civilization, the desert team. And you would not believe what they found. It's Raid Shadow Legends, the best MMO RPG game there is. With over 700 unique champions, a tactical RPG battle system, incredible graphics, and intense PvE and PvP content, Raid has it all. Let's talk about one of the toughest bosses in Raid, the Hydra. This beast has 6 heads, each one a complete boss battle of its own. The head of Blight will poison you and protects itself with a poison cloud, but you can counter it with fire. The head of Torment will terrorize your champions with true fear, and the only way to stop it is by hiding them with veal buffs. The head of Mischief will steal and spread your buffs, making it a nightmare to deal with. The head of Wrath is a super angry damage dealer that weakens and provokes your team. The head of Decay will tear you down and build up its allies, making healing a double-edged sword. And finally, the head of Suffering is the main tank head that shares the suffering with your champions through the Pain Link debuff. Now, let me share you some exciting news. Raid Shadow Legends has introduced a new clan-based competition called Hydra Clash, where you and 4 other clans will compete to see who can smack the Hydra the hardest. But that's not all. For new players, you can get your hands on Stag Knight, one of the best epic champions around, as well as a special skin designed by John Tron. Use the promo code JTSKIN before October 7th and these awesome rewards will be yours. Now I have a goal for you. We're trying to get 140 installs together. Install Raid Shadow Legends today and use my link in the description or scan my QR code to get the insane bonuses. You will get the epic champion Knight Errant from the Bannerlords faction, along with many other items, once you have downloaded Raid Shadow Legends. After the desert team managed to find Raid Shadow Legends, they also found some scorpions, vultures, and they set up a little area where they had their base. They had to put their forges outside, otherwise they'd be burnt to death. This area of the map was boiling. They all had desert gear and some of them even rushed to set up water irrigation pipelines so they could drink. They were getting dehydrated by the minute, and this was probably one of the best things they could have done. After the desert players managed to get some good clothing and some tames, some of them were able to go out and explore.
I'm gonna go back out for more stuff.
Some of the desert players went out on their scorpions and began exploring, looking for high value resources in which they could use. However, some of the desert players were split off from the group in the beginning, and this caused a lot of deaths. We now go back to the mainland civilization, and they are now calling themselves the Big Empire. This tribe had actually set up a really nice starting area. Because they had so many refining forges, these guys were able to smelt metal at a very good rate. They had also done something incredible. They had tamed a Rex. And the Big Empire civilization decided they wanted to do something with this Rex. One of their members, Big Frank, had an ambitious mission for them.
And we need to get up to the castle soon.
I think we have. Once we get like a Rex saddle, maybe we can get up there. We need everybody on a team to get up there.
The Big Empire decided they wanted to go on this castle high up in the mountains. Now this thing was filled with dangerous bats, but if they were able to kill them and get inside, they'd have a strong base position. Back over at the Highland civilization, one of the players had led a wyvern directly to the Highlands cave. Now this player was now running away, and it was in the hands of another player to lead this wyvern away. This other player on the pterodon was called Albert, and let's just say Albert was not the happiest in this situation.
Alright, what did I fucking say about getting wyvern eggs?
Hear me out. I learned from my mistake.
Hear me out. I heard you out, and you almost got our fucking base wiped with the wyvern.
Albert was definitely not in a good mood, and it made him in an even worse mood that his pterodon was just killed by the fire wyvern, but at least it was away from the base. Now the Highland civilization wanted to change their name. They called themselves the Gooperian Mego Tribe, and they were getting on pretty nicely. They tamed a lot of pterodons, some trikes and some equises. They also had a massive smelting area inside their base. One player had even managed to get his hands on a high level fire wyvern, in which they'd use for PvP in future. Now we go back to the Flatland civilization. They had decided to change their name to Grimm's Wall. It was named after this big wall that they built, and also their main PvP player was called the Grim Reaper. Their main player Ace had also started building a very nice house on top of this hill. And their player Ace had big plans for this house. He wanted to get elected as the leader, and if he was going to build a massive council which would sit inside this house and organise their tribe. And so, the Grimswall civilization were going to organise their election early. They had already set up a podium, and there were only going to be 2 players that were going to run. The first player to run would be Ace, and the second would be a man named Wes.
I know I'm not the leader we deserve nor need, but I believe I can lead this place to a great future. I've built great structures in the past, and yet I have not led, but I think I can lead, and under my rule I shall build a council of few who yous elect. I am not here to do this leading for myself, I lead for yous, the great people of this civilization.
After that very inspiring speech, we now have our second candidate, Wes.
Hello survivors. This is my speech on why I think I should be leader. I've led other civilizations to victory before, and I'll do it again.
Hey.
Oh!
Who the fuck's that?
Yeah, we just had a dude try attack him. Yeah, you can't go.
This was an assassination on Wes by one of the players of the Grim Wall. Luckily, 2 members on these griffins were really fast to react, and they managed to kill the traitor.
Anyway, back to voting. Small assassination on Wes there.
After the assassination attempt, they decided to get back to voting, so they lined up on the leader they thought should lead.
Ace is leader. Ace is leader.
Alright, as my first order of business as leader, I make a council consisting of my competitor Wes, Champa, and I can't remember the others.
And now Ace was elected leader. They had organised the council, which was going to be the brains behind this civilization. Now we go back to the Gooperian Mego Tribe, and these guys were getting ready on their pterodons to go into the wyvern trench.
That's not, yeah, I was thinking we could do that. We should have like 2 people, like one person that distracts the wyverns and the other one just gets all the eggs.
And so the Gooperian Mego Tribe's plan was to have one player attack a wyvern, get them distracted, and then the other 2 would swoop in and steal an egg. The player set with the task of distracting this wyvern was faced with near death. The other 2 players managed to get perched up on a rock to regen their stamina. Once these 2 players had their stats regen to full, they set out to look for an egg. Directly in front of them, there was a nest, and inside this nest was a high-level fire egg. The player got off his PT and grabbed the egg, and now it was time to fly out of there as quickly as possible before all of the wyverns would kill them. The Gooperian Mego Tribe had just done a successful mission on getting a wyvern egg. These guys were now on the way back to base to raise this thing, and then they would go out and get more. However, there was a small issue. You remember the player from earlier that led a wyvern over to the Gooperians base? Well, he did it again. He got on a PT, went in the trench by himself, and managed to lead this thing over to their base.
Guys, there's a wyvern! There's a wyvern! There's a wyvern!
Panic struck the Gooperian mega tribe, but the members were actually ready. They got on their PTs and went straight inside the base through the wall that they made. The wyvern shot his fire breath at one of the players and it actually killed one. However, these Gooperian members were strong. They got their guns and began firing at the wyvern and eventually managed to kill it. The player that died in the midst of battle was the same one that led this wyvern over to the base, and Albert had something to say.
Guys, hear him out. Hear him out.
The Big Empire had arrived at their castle. Now, on the way up, they had lost a lot of players, but they were here and they had some nice buildings going on. There was also a player that stood on the end of this bridge. Please translate this if you know the language it is. If you know what he said, write in the comments. Anyway, back to the Big Empire civilization.
Have we made any more progress on our ballista turrets and everything?
I'm working on it. I still need hide. Quite a bit of it.
The Big Empire was going to build a spectacular base with ballista turrets everywhere. Now, we're going to go back to the Gooperian Mega Tribe's base, where a player that has not been seen in the previous events is going to give a speech. Here it is.
My people, I come to you today, not as a man, nor as a king. I come to you as Valhazak. I know many of you know me, but there are some that do not. Fear not, for in time, we will be acquainted. And I say this to every single person here. I laugh at the infamous and crush the dreams. I shall sink our enemies into the depths of abyssal purgatory and lead us to a future that shines in the crimson glow of our enemies' blood.
Let's do it!
Yes!
Yeah!
The black
The blood of our enemies! Yeah! Let's go!
Yeah!
Let's fucking go!
I'll pop him in the head like a grape.
Full Goopers! Full Valhazak!
Valhazak has returned, and he's in a tribe with some good PvP players. But just as Valhazak was doing his speech, over at the Big Empire, a man named Frank was going to be elected leader, and he wanted to give his speech right now.
Along the way, we have missed many opportunities to get up to this castle, but now, because of all of our leadership skills, we're here. We've lost many people in the way. Many people have died to full damage, which is a very bad way to go out. But when we die, we're going to go out in a good way. Now, they're going to see an election, so how about you guys tell them who your leader is?
Frank.
I vote for Big Frank.
Frank.
It seemed like all of the team agreed the leader should be Frank, and so he was elected in the Big Empire's tribe. The last people to do their election is the Desert Tribe, and so they went ahead with it.
Kiri Kamizami, go on, give your speech.
Yes. So, first off, let's start with my uses. We both know I have tamed all of these stylas and all of these Skarnos and stuff. And, not only that, before we started this event, I was researching everything about the Ragnarok Desert. And I think I did the most effort in total. And also I'm Arab, so I think it makes sense to me to be the leader.
Okay, I'll go. I want a leader with a tough rule. We've got 8 people, yeah, out of 25. We're fucked, okay? We need to get it together, have a tough rule, and we'll build a fortress, or we will join another tribe.
The desert players didn't seem too inspired. There weren't that many of them, as so many died to the heat, but they were still going to elect their leader.
Okay, so I've got 1 vote. I believe it is the Arab that is the leader. Congratulations.
Woo!
Wow.
Woo.
Now, I wanted to add a little bit of spice within the civilization experiment, so I added a safe zone. Each tribe could come here and they were not allowed to fight under any conditions. They would come here and they could do some negotiations, they could set up trade routes, build alliances, or they could even make some arguments. So let's see what goes on. First up, you're going to hear from a man named Robert, who goes by the name RBZ.
If I may speak. Okay, so Flatlands, I've heard you guys say that you have rock golems. Sound pretty interesting.
Yeah. Well, we have some rock golems and we have sulfur, yes.
Okay, well, sulfur isn't much use to us because we can get in the wyvern trench. But rock golems, on their hand, they do interest me. So, what would you like in return from us for one of your rock golems?
We'll have to talk to my
What do you have?
jumper. Yeah, what do you have?
We have wyverns, we have mantises, we have arthrochloras, we have what, mantises are useless.
Yeah,
well, we could just go to Death and get mantises if the Alliance goes for it.
Oh, if the Alliance though, but we're talking from a point of me and you. I'm not mentioning other people, I'm talking about our own nation's resources. You don't have any mantises. And I guess if you think they're bad, we'll have to see in the event when a level 150 mantis kills you.
Well, now you're pressing.
So you're saying that you are going to be aggressive.
So you're saying you're going for the aggressive route.
RBZ was indeed going for the aggressive route as he was part of the Gupirans, but what he may have forgot to take into account was I dropped the borders to each of their zones 10 minutes ago, and so the Grimwall operation team was sent out to the Gupiran base. Grimwall's team soon realised that the Gupiran base was not as weak as they may have thought. Gupiran members had been busy setting up plant walls, taming wyverns and much more. They even had dedicated members set to be lookouts and even snipers on duty. But we now go back to the safe zone, where negotiation between the Gupiran and the Big Empire was setting out.
And me and Valazark, I'm sure he's in agreement with me, we would like a proposition to be in an alliance with the mainland.
I'll be willing to an alliance with Val if we get wyverns, if we get 2 wyverns. And what we'll bring to the table is the alliance, and we'll come to aid you guys if we get attacked, and that we also want that back as well.
Okay. I agree with our alliance.
There we go, okay.
There we go, the alliance has been made.
And that was it. The alliance was made between the Gupirans and the Big Empire. These guys now owned the top of the map. However, the Desert Team and the Grim Wall wanted to make their own alliance.
I would suggest a merger, 50-50. You join our council. That's fine.
So, as in merger, do you mean as in like shared resources and shared, defense?
Shared resources. It's like an alliance, but one step up. Literally, that's what I mean.
So you basically want to merge tribes. You want to become one big tribe.
If we merged and moved in and added to your defense.
That's fine. That's like I said. And it won't be in our name, it will be both of our names.
The Desert decided to accept this offer, and now they were going back to their base so they could gather up all their loot and bring it straight to the Grimwall's base, where they would permanently stay. We now are going to take a look at the Big Empire's defense systems. They had Plant X ballista turrets lined everywhere. They even had a full watchtower on the top of the castle. Inside their base was like a fortress. There was gates everywhere and there was no way any team would get in here easily. The Desert Tribe were now gathering up all their loot and they were now part of the Grimwall civilization. These guys were gathering up all their tames and they were on the way. The Grimwall's base was looking amazing. They had multiple walls and they had a lot of spikes everywhere. Ballistas were set out and the houses were looking amazing. Inside this beautiful house, they were going to build a long table with chairs lined up so the council could organise their army. But it seems we had missed some unfortunate deaths of the Big Empire.
Did we lose a lot?
How many did we lose? Bishop died.
Oh my, they killed so much of our stuff.
Holy.
This player is Grim Reaper, and indeed he did kill a lot of the Big Empire's people and tames. He was part of the Grim Wall, hence his name, and the Grim Reaper himself was looking for bases to attack and destroy. He was going around all by himself. Very soon, the Grim Reaper and some of the other PvP players of the Grim Wall managed to find the Gupiran base, and these guys were stalking the Gupirans, but this Mego tribe was not going to give up.
Alright, Biden, come on, let's go. Anyone else want to join us? Hop on the fucking team, let's go.
Yeah, I'm going to base, I'm going to base. Just be careful.
The Grimwall members were getting ready to do a dive on the Griffins.
Dive. For Gupiran Mego tribe.
Albert managed to use his Thycolo to jump in the air and catch one of the Griffins dead on. This was Grim Reaper's Griffin, and he had just sustained a lot of bleed damage. But if the griffins weren't enough, Grim had organised some more backup to arrive. A poison wyvern was on the way, and if the poison of this wyvern hit one of those Thycolos, it would be death for the rider. A player on the Goopirian forces was at the lighthouse, and so Albert on this Thycolo came to save him.
Focus the same one, focus this one. Yeah. The one that's going down the hill,
Albert came over here, and once he arrived, he realised it was a death wish. This player he tried saving was dead already, and now he had to run into the water to try and escape all of the Grim Wolves' griffins.
They can't stay in the water forever. Kill these Filer.
Albert had one last chance to escape, and one of the Goopirian members managed to get over here on a poison wyvern. He would need to pick up Albert immediately for them to survive.
Fingers, come on, bruh. Pick me.
Oh,
it's so over, dude.
Albert's gone.
This is where we die, dude.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is, dude. I'm broke.
Got him.
Nice.
After they killed Albert, there was another rare player nearby.
This is the end of the mighty Balthazar.
The Grimwall civilization was killing players left and right. Everyone that was trying to retreat from the battle was getting slaughtered by Grim and his players on the Griffins.
There you go.
Got him. Let's go.
Nice.
As so many of the Goopirian members were killed, the Beg Empire and their few players were on the way to try and help the Goopirians.
I've got a ballista turret with chain bowlers.
Frank and a few other members had arrived and set up ballistas.
16 people left shit, but it's only 3 of us.
Killed one, I killed one.
Nice.
I got one.
I'm driving mine.
One of the Big Empire members was killed on this ballista, and then the Grim civilization killed the other 2 on the other ballista.
Should I throw my nades down to try and destroy those ballistas?
Yeah. Please. Not ballistas, but they're plant species.
My name as well.
And now, the Grimwall civilization began throwing grenades into the Goopirian base in an attempt to destroy the Plant X. Seeing as all of the Big Empire players were now dead due to that poison, now there's only one player remaining in this entire alliance. It was the man himself, Robert, or RBZ. The Grimwall members managed to get flame arrows from the Desert Tribe, and they began shooting the Plant X with flame arrows to destroy them. These guys were absolutely obliterating the Goopirian base, and very soon they'd have the means to go straight inside and try and hunt down Robert. However, the members of the Grimwall definitely thought there were more players than there actually were, so they were still cautious. Inside, the last and final player, Robert, decided to hold a speech.
Guys, today we fought valiantly. We sacrificed blood, sweat, and tears in order to try and win this event. However, the odds were against us. The gods were not in our favor. Too many stuff went wrong too quickly. One thing I will say is, I will not die on my knees. I will die standing like a true warrior. I die using my own 2 legs, and I fight using my own 2 legs. For Goopirian.
He was now ready to take on the entire of the Grimwall and Desert civilization, all by himself. Grimwall members were lurking outside on their wyverns, as they had now destroyed all of the Plant X on the outside of this Goopirian base. But Robert, like the brave man he is, he had a plan. He was going to put an unconscious member at the gate, so it looked like there was a player, and he was going to try and lure someone in to then shut the gate behind them.
This guy's sleeping, so you know.
Oh my god. They opened the gate. Oh, I think it's chill. I'm in. Oh my god, plant species. Oh, I'm fucked.
It's Grim Reaper,
Robert had somehow trapped the Grim Reaper.
Mammoth!
Robert, or RBZ, began running for his mammoth as fast as possible, so he could then walk up to the Grim Reaper's griffin and pick him straight off.
Mammoth, I'm dead. I'm not dead.
Grim managed to get in the top corners of the base and try and hide from Robert, but it wasn't working.
I'm hitting him.
Robert kept using the stomp attack on the mammoth, and eventually, he managed to kill the Grim Reaper's griffin. Now, Grim was stuck in a little cave all by himself. Grim had only one option, and that was to run out of this cave and try and just escape Robert's mammoth. But there was a problem. As he was trying to escape, Robert had his Carno on aggressive.
GG, boys.
Oh no.
Robert had just killed their best PvPer, and so he wanted to do a speech.
Despite all odds, WBZ has captured the Grim Reaper. The spoils of war are finally mine, and they will be only mine to share with.
The Grimwall civilization was now angry, as the first part of their name was completely irrelevant. They began breaking in Robert's base, and Robert responded by getting on his holy mammoth.
Stay away from that mammoth, we don't get picked off. That mammoth is going to be a problem.
Robert used the mammoth to charge and head straight for a member sitting on the lightning wyvern.
I got him!
Robert managed to pick up another one of the Grimwall's best PvP players. This man was named Champer, and he had just been killed.
Easy, Mr. Champer kill, bro.
After that incredibly humiliating kill, Robert decided to retreat, as more of the Grimwall members were arriving, and they had more and more grenades.
Come on, boys, we're doing well. Let's keep this up. Keep the pressure up, keep the pressure on.
The Gupirian Parnex wall was now getting obliterated by grenades, and this meant some of the tames of the Gupirian Empire was being let out into the open. But that wasn't necessarily a bad thing, as there was a very high allo and some high level Thycolas on the way. These things managed to kill a lightning wyvern. But because the Grimwall civilization had so many members, they managed to fight back. A member of the Grimwall had flown a griffin into Robert's base, and then he'd managed to hide on top of one of the buildings. But this player was not safe, as he was getting attacked by aggressive PTs, and so he had to fall into this safe house. Little did he realise this was a trap, and Robert was waiting for him. Robert began throwing grenades left and right. This man had a shield, so he was just able to get through it.
He's very low. He's gotta be low, surely.
Robert was thinking this man must be either dead or incredibly low, so he eventually left to deal with more important problems.
Oh, that's all of them.
As Robert ran out of grenades, this player managed to survive, but there was no way he could go as he was completely trapped. It seemed Robert had bigger problems. The Grimwall civilization was entering his base, and there was no way he could stop them. The only thing he could do was go straight up to his front entrance and try and stomp them with the mammoth. Robert began attacking at full force with this mammoth. However, there was T-Rexes behind the wall, and there was no way a mammoth could compete with a Rex. He kept standing his ground, but eventually there was only one option he could do to save his life. Robert eventually had to retreat for the safe option, as his mammoth was getting very low, and if this thing died, he'd be in serious threat. The problem was, as soon as the Grim civilization saw Robert retreat, they ordered all of their men to go in there straight away to try and finish him off.
Mama's dead, I'm pretty sure. Mama's fucking dead, bro.
The PvP player, part of the Grim civilization named Wes, managed to kill Robert's mammoth, and now he was completely stuck on a horse by himself. He used his horse to chase down some of the members, and he even managed to knock one out, but after that it was getting way too low and he had to retreat again. He was now on foot, and he needed to run for his life. Robert ended up getting shelter in the water, but he needed to leave the base as soon as possible.
Get him.
Yeah, I'll go get him, don't worry.
This man managed to tank a lightning strike straight to his face. He was now running out the base at full speed, and he had one single hand that he could play. This hand was a crowed rhino, and he got on it straight away.
Oh no, you've got rhinos outside, rhino outside.
Robert was trying to kill some members, but the Grimwall civilization had Thycolos, meaning they could bleed the rhino, and if you bleed the rhino, it can't run away. This was the end of the Gupirian Empire.
Please, We've won. We have won.
Indeed, Grim's Wall has won this event. After spawning in a challenging area, they managed to fight their way to the top and destroy the Gupirian Empire. Now, if you do enjoy these videos, you can play in these events yourself. We host these for PlayStation players in our Discord server, and the next one is next week on Sunday, the 27th of August. If you want to join, click the Discord in the description below. And I have even better news. We've just launched a long-term Ark server on Lost Island, and you can play on this in between our monthly PlayStation events. This is 100 players simulating civilization in Ark. And may I just remind you, install Raid Shadow Legends today for the best gaming experience.